it. Hey.
Good morning and welcome to our December 4th Super App office hours. I would like to do a quick technology check, and I ask that you all use the chat function and let me know if you are hearing me clearly and if you can see the shared screen. Great, thank you all, we appreciate it. All right, again, welcome to our Super App office hours on December 4th. We are setting aside time this morning just to provide you with some additional information around the Super App and to be able to be available to answer any questions you may have. If you have any questions, we ask that you place those questions into the chat box and please include your name and your email address. In the event that we are unable to answer your question, we can get back with you and make sure that we provide you with a response. Again, if you have any questions as we move through the minimal agenda this morning, please include those into the chat box and make sure that you include your name and your email address. All right, our agenda this morning. We are going to do a quick review of the school system planning information. We are then going to talk about the Super App application itself, the checklist, central data, and the non-public data collection. Also, we're going to provide you with some information on compensatory education, and then open the floor for questions and provide you some support here this morning. All right, our 21-22 school system planning review. As you all are probably aware by now, your Super App launch materials are available in the School Improvement Library. You can just say that the School Improvement Library has all things Super App. So you can actually access it via this link or clicking the image that is below. To achieve the 6 critical goals and support every student in reaching his or her fullest potential, leaders of improving schools ensure that students access and learn grade level content and are provided adequate support to master grade level content. High school students have a clear graduation plan that enables them to access quality courses and graduate on time with a quality diploma and a plan for success. Teachers across grade levels and content areas collaborate regularly and intentionally. Instructional leadership teams drive improving student outcomes through purposeful data review and progress monitoring cycles with coaching and support. And last, educators and students deserve equitable access to the best opportunities. Improving schools implement 3 foundational structures to drive professional and student growth. Instructional leadership teams develop a long-range plan for improving educator and student outcomes. Learning communities are established to provide weekly collaboration time for groups of teachers, including core, special education, English language, and reading interventionists. And observation and feedback cycles led by the instructional leadership team are frequent and cyclical. Leaders of improving schools and each leader within the school. Intervention content leaders, mentor teachers, professional school counselors, in partnership with professional learning partners, play a role in supporting teachers to improve outcomes for their students. Many of you are familiar with this particular slide here that pretty much lays out how the planning process should be facilitated. So of course, you're going to begin by identifying your priorities. So school systems review data and identify priorities for the coming year. And then you're going to develop an aligned budget. School systems budget formula funds and request competitive funds in alignment with priorities. And lastly, you're going to implement with support. School systems implement approved plans with support from system relations team and professional learning partners. As part of the waivers, school performance scores and letter grades will not be produced for the 2019-2020 school year. This means LDOE was required to maintain the existing list of schools in need of intervention from the 2019 release. As such, schools have not exited or entered intervention status from the 2019 release based on the 2019-20 school year. And this file uses 2018-2019 school year data as the most recent year of data. Continuing priorities for 2021-2022. Next school year, CIR and UIR-A schools will continue to focus on the priorities listed in the chart. You will also note in the chart if it is required for your particular CIR or UIR-A school. So when you look at the priorities listed, high quality curriculum in all grade levels, high quality professional development for all teachers on the selected curriculum, high quality assessments, teacher preparation partner to address schools' greatest needs. You will note that all of those priorities are required at your CIR and your UIR-A schools. Increased school-based capacity through content leader and mentor teacher participation is only required at your CIR school. And student planning partners for the transition to college and/or professional career is only required at your CIR school. All right, there are some new or improved priorities as well for 2021-2022. So next school year, CIR and UIR schools will have some additional required and/or optional priorities. Listed, you'll see those that are new or improved, the priority, and where they fall on the scale for the CIR, UIR-A, or UIR-D school. So as you'll note, there is an improved priority for participation in school support institutes. This is going to be required for your CIR and your UIR-A schools. A new requirement you're going to have, or a new priority, K-2 literacy content leaders. It's required for your CIR school, however, optional for the UIR-A school. Another improved, certified ancillary mentor teachers. For your CIR, it is required. And another new priority, culturally responsive professional development. That is only going to be required for your UIR-D school. All right, so for 21-22, your UIR-Discipline Requirements. Why are we focusing on this? In order for students to be successful, they must engage in a positive, inclusive, and culturally responsive learning environment that develops social, emotional, and academic skills to cultivate personal agency and lifelong success. Louisiana will build the capacity of educators to provide students the unique support they require to be successful both personally and academically. So new next school year for 21-22, UIR-D schools will focus on professional development focused on unconscious bias, culturally responsive teaching, culturally responsive leadership, or diversity, equity, and inclusion training. Here are some of your optional funding priorities. Next school year for 21-22, CIR and UIR-A schools will have access to these optional funding opportunities. So again, in the chart, it notates whether it's continuing or if it's new. It lists the optional funding opportunity and then lets you know whether it's optional or required for the CIR or UIR-A school. So as you'll notice, continuing, you have your science curriculum, professional development, and content leaders. And those are both optional for both CIR and UIR-A. Also continuing, you have specialized support professional development, which is optional for your UIR-A. And then you'll note there are several that are new: ongoing professional development, early literacy support, K-2 literacy content leaders, school improvement best practices, literacy coaches, early childhood, ages 3 to 5, specialized support for professional development. And also you'll notate whether they are required or optional for that CIR or UIR-A school. New for 21-22, UIN Opportunities. Why are we focusing on this? Schools receive an urgent intervention needed label when one or more student group earns a score equivalent to a D or an F. These are sites which may be in jeopardy of receiving a UIR-A label in the near future. While UIN schools are not required to submit a plan for improvement in the way that CIR and UIR schools are, the LDOE has secured funding to support UIN schools in implementing a variety of ELA interventions. In order to be eligible for optional competitive funding at schools with exclusively a UIN label, school systems must select yes on Super App question WT 5.2 after reviewing the CLSD UIN guidance document. All right, the School System Planning Guide provides guidance, of course, on how school systems will build a plan and submit the Super App for formula and competitive funds to support that plan. For those who are generally familiar with the school system planning process, each section throughout the guide includes new this year call-out boxes, which highlight the notable changes from last year. And you see there is an image there that provides that example for you. The Super App Workbook. The LDOE has created an editable Super App Workbook for planning purposes in preparation to submit the online Super App application, which communicates school system 21-22 school year priorities. So this is another resource that is provided for you. And of course, the Super App support. You have the support for completing the Super App that's being provided through many, many avenues. You, of course, have your school improvement library. You have the LDOE weekly newsletters. You have your system leader monthly calls. You have Super App planning support calls. There are also school systems relations. You have the school systems relations team. And you have these weekly scheduled office hours that are on Friday at 10 a.m. But just make sure that you check the newsletter out each week so that you are aware of the dates and the date and the link if you need it. Please contact your school system relations coach that is formerly your network coach prior to emailing the LDOE Grants Help Desk with questions. Make sure you funnel your questions to your school system relations coach first. Again, that is formerly your network coach. All right, next we have some key actions for December. This information can be found on page 12 of the School System Planning Guide. So here you should be reviewing your strategic plan, feedback from your school leaders, holding planning team meetings to select your strategies, conducting planning team meetings to develop the funding proposal, and conduct planning team meetings to complete your Super App workbook. Here are some January key actions, and this can be found on page 13 of the School System Planning Guide. You're going to complete contacts and assurances in central data that's in the EGMS system. And you're going to enter data into the Super App in the electronic grants management system. All right, so I will turn the facilitation over to Mr. Littleton at this time, who will cover the Super App application portion for you.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins. So the first slide that we have for you in Super App is just a reminder that the Super App submission checklist is available to you in the School System Planning Guide. It's located in Appendix D. If I'm not mistaken, it's actually the last page of the Planning Guide document. Again, this is just a document that you can utilize as you work through the different components of Super App to be sure that you are completing each section of the application. The 2021-22 central data will be released mid-December. Just note that central data, unlike with other applications for Super App, you do not have to create central data for 21-22 in order to create the Super App application. The Super App should be visible for you under the fiscal year 22 in EGMS for you to create. Your contact and assurance information, however, must be completed prior to running the consistency check in order for you to pass that consistency for the February submission of the 21-22 Super App application. Again, we will release central data component in mid-December. Again, just a reminder here on non-public data collection, what the LEA should be doing. At this time, LEA should send intent to participate letters and forms to all non-public schools. For Title I, collect non-public school October 1 poverty family income counts. For Title II and IV, utilize official K-12 enrollment counts from the NPS 2020-21 approval with Brumfield-Dodd by district. LEAs will use these official counts to determine private school equitable shares. You should not collect enrollment data directly from the non-public schools. And just a note here, the approval with Brumfield-Dodd is, the link is provided here for you. However, the update to the link is not yet been made official. Our state ombudsman will notify everyone once the document is made available. And for IDA, LDOE will continue to provide counts for students with service plans for LEAs to determine the private school equitable share. Compensatory services. For IDA formula funds in the amount of $1.2 million will be available to provide financial assistance to school systems to cover some of the costs associated with providing compensatory services to students with disabilities who experience a loss of skills or academic progress due to extended school facility closures. These IDA funds will not be awarded to school systems to provide compensatory services due to non-compliance or negligence by the school system in providing services to students with disabilities. Again, these additional funds that are being made available is to assist school systems with providing compensatory services for our students with disabilities who showed regression due to extended school facility closures. School systems interested in applying for these funds will be able to access the application in EGMS. Note, this will be located in your 2021 Super App. The compensatory services information will be housed on the IDEA tab. The IDEA tab, just as a reminder, as most of you know, is located in the administration section of the application. The form to complete for compensatory ed will be made available in EGMS in the first week of January, and the opportunity to apply for these funds will close the first week of March 2021. Again, this form that you will need to complete to indicate your interest in participating in this additional funding will be available the first week of January 2021 in EGMS in your 2021 Super App, and the opportunity will close the first week of March. Additional information regarding the compensatory services application will be provided during next week's IDA Director's Call. And with that, I'll turn the presentation back over to Ms. Jenkins.
All right, thank you. So now we're going to open the floor for questions. If you have any questions, please notate those into the chat. And we're going to take a pause here just for a moment to collect those so that we can begin to share out with you those that can be answered. So Mr. Brown, whenever you're ready, if there are any questions, you can begin to roll those out.
At this time, the only questions that we have received both pertained to when this deck will be made available. We will be posting this deck and a recording to the School Improvement Library shortly after the call today.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We must be doing an excellent job. We don't have a lot of questions out here today. We are going to hold on the line for just a few more moments in case you think of anything that you may need to ask us. And then, of course, you can place those into the chat, and then we will respond to those accordingly. So we'll just take a brief pause before we all let you go back and get finish your Friday.
We did receive another question. This one looks like Randy or Brunel would be best suited to respond.
Yes, good morning, everyone. This is Burnell Cook. So the question is, if a private school's K-12 grades close down but still has pre-K students who receive speech services from the LEA via IDEA, will the LEA still have to include this non-public school in their main application, or do I just include it in the IDEA portion of the app? And so just a reminder that the ESSA support for private schools is focused on K-12 only. So you would only include services for this student, this school with your IDEA portion of the app. So there's a question regarding the compensatory competitive funds initiative in terms of when the funds will be available. So there's going to be more detailed information shared on that with the IDEA directors, but it's the agency's goal, though, to load those those LEAs that are selected to receive the compensatory competitive funds this spring. And of course, they will remain available for the remainder of this year and for the 21-22 school year. They actually roll over to the 21-22 school year.
Kenya, I'm not seeing any other questions at this time.
Great. And before Kenya takes it back over, just want to remind each of you that in addition to your school systems completing the planning section of the Super App, to encourage federal program directors to start setting the framework for receiving, your funding. In other words, we didn't want you to just wait until you get the funding to start planning on what's going to be included in the Super App. As a rule of thumb, we ask that you, just start with maybe 85–90% of your final. Well, you haven't gotten your final. I just realized that. But in the ballpark of what you've been receiving, and then once you get the actual numbers, hopefully it won't be too big of a lift to adjust what you have according to the actual allocation. So just want to encourage you there. And then as a reminder, please take advantage of those one-on-one calls that you can schedule with our federal programs team to help you coordinate and raise funding for your priorities. We're looking forward to having some meaningful conversations with each of you. Okay, Ms. Jenkins, I just wanted to put that little nugget in.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brown and Mr. Cook, for your responses this morning. At this time, since we do not have any additional questions, we will give you some time back. And I think we have one more slide that just talks about all of the support that is being provided around the Super App. Again, the School Improvement Library has all things Super App. You can find pretty much everything you need relative to the Super App there. Make sure that you check the newsletters weekly for new information that's being provided. And again, you have your system leader monthly calls. You have your Super App planning support calls that Mr. Cook just spoke about. And you have your school systems relation team that can assist you as well. And you have these Super App office hours. So as you are moving through planning and working through your Super App, you have various ways of support that you can reach out to, and we can make sure that we are available and are able to provide that for you. So again, if there are no other questions, we thank you for joining us on this Friday. Yes.
Hey, one other question just came through.
All right.
The question is, when will the LDOE release the ED file to the local school districts? As most of you can recall, we usually release all of that information, the counts, along with the allocations. So all of that will come to you within the within the same time frame. So probably we'll have a better update and time frame on that within the next week or so. So make sure that you continue to participate on the office hours calls, and we also have our monthly call as well. So as soon as we know more information, we'll get that to you. All right, I think that was the only other one, Ms. Jenkins. Only other question.
All right, thank you. So again, just reminding you of the support that's provided for you. If you go away from this call and you have any questions, you have various means to get in contact with us. Again, make sure you reach out to your school systems relations team person first, and then they can provide you support. But if you have any other questions, make sure you send it to the Grants Management Help Desk, the email listed there below, and make sure you put Super App in your subject line. If there is nothing else, we thank you, and we will give you some time back in your day today. All have a great Friday and a great weekend, and be safe. Thank you.